to Spawn Point, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Rad.
I'm Goose.
I'm Bajo.
And I am D.A.R.R.E.N.
Coming up on the show, we hightail it to Hyrule for an epic adventure in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this Zelda is actually rated M, but we'll be sure to keep our review appropriate for spawnlings under the age of 15.
We shall. It's a super charming game.
Oh, guys, it might just be the best Zelda game since Ocarina of Time on N64, maybe even a little bit better.
Whoa, that's a big call, Goose. Darren, check it out.
Affirmative. What? Scanning. Analysis confirms that Goose is not intentionally exaggerating.
I'm not sure that laser was necessary.
It's good to be accurate, though. Oh, also, we're going to check out the Aussie-made Hollow Knight.
Australia is pumping out some seriously amazing games, guys.
Too right, Goose. Now, cycle up your brain cells, spawnlings. It's time for a D.A.R.R.E.N's challenge! Today, I want you to identify the game in this image. Answer at the end of the show.
Nice one, Darren. Now, Bajo, are you ready to brave the forgotten depths of the kingdom of Hallowness?
I am, Rad, but it's quite a difficult game. We may need to seek some guidance.
Rom. Ram. Who disturbs the great noob master?
Oh, Noob Master, oh, Wise One, we seek your guidance.
Yes, oh wise one, we need your help getting through Hollow Knight.
Yes, it's really hard.
Of course, I foresaw that you would come. There is only one way to master the difficulty of Hollow Knight, and that way is to play.
But Darren, oh, Wise Noob Master, it's really hard.
Yeah, give us some tips.
Well, I guess there is one thing I can do for those who declare themselves noobs.
Would it be laser related?
Yes, it is. Charging my laser! It always comes back to this.
Knight is a very difficult game, but at the same time, very rewarding.
Yes, to achieve great things in Hollow Knight, you must be cautious, pay attention, practice hard, and of course, get good.
Definitely get good. You play as a little skulled bug creature thrown into a mysterious world. You're given very little guidance and are left to venture down into the caverns below.
You very quickly learn that this world is not a safe place. Creepy, crawly bugs and monsters of all shapes and sizes immediately try to take you down. And your only defense, at least initially, is a simple sword attack and jumping out of the way.
And you don't take many hits to go down. This is a game of challenge and discovery. There's not much of a tutorial, really. You have to figure out how the game works on your own.
Well, part of what makes Hollow Knight so interesting is how much you have to learn on your own. For example, how to heal. As you attack creatures, a soul gauge fills up. You can then drain this gauge to heal you. It might sound simple, but the thought behind it is actually quite ingenious.
Yes, absolutely. When you're on low health, you're put into this mindset of caution. You have to earn the right to get health back by defeating enemies without getting hit. Guys, I really like this system.
Yeah, it's high stakes. The combat is really nice and responsive too. Fighting is so fun and often frantic, relying heavily on dodging enemies and learning their attack patterns.
You're right, Rad. Memorizing enemy attack patterns is key. At first, a big tough bug might seem impossible, but after practice and practice, suddenly you'll breeze through the fight without even thinking twice.
Yes, you can't button mash your way through this game. I love it when you're forced to master something and then you can show off how good you are at it.
Oh yes, give yourself a little pat on the back there. It's definitely not for everyone though, patient gamers only. There's plenty of platforming to be done and it just gets more tricky as you progress. But just like with the combat, the more you play, the more tools you get to complete platforming challenges. such as a dash, which lets you jump further.
Eventually, some of the friendly characters you encounter will set up shops on the surface. They sell everything from character upgrades to those all-important map upgrades. I highly recommend buying the location map upgrade so you can always see where you are.
Very important. To buy things in this game, you'll need to use geos. These drop from enemies, and you can also get some free ones by rescuing the cutest creatures in the world after boat meal. I mean, just look at these guys!
Oh, so cute!
They're so cute!
Oh, they're like little Pokemon. Oh.
One important thing to remember though is that if you die, you lose all of your geos, and the only way to get them back is to go back to where you died and fight a ghostly version of yourself.
Too spooky.
Oh, it is a spooky game. Overall, Hollow Knight is initially kind of confusing and frustrating, but that's on purpose. The game encourages you to search its many mysteries and rewards you for doing so. I loved this game. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Yes, it's not for the noob of heart, but I think this game is actually my favorite game of the year so far. It's just so beautiful, and the music is so good, and the animations. Also, it was made right here in Australia. I'm giving this 5 out of 5 rubber chickens. Guys, there are some fantastic indie games being made right here in Australia.
Oh, right you are, Bajo. And one of those games is Dungeon League. An intense dungeon crawler where you pick your character and gear and then challenge your friends to be the best.
We recently got to chat with the game's creator, Christopher Yabsley, also known as 8-Bit, about how he got the game made.
Oh, are there any robots in the game? Any lasers?
I don't think so, Darren, but I assure you they are working on it.
Oh, I hope so. Roll the tape, Lee.
Nice.
Oh, no, look at the enemy! I'm here with Christopher, one of the developers of Dungeon League. That was some pretty crazy fun. What inspired you to make this game?
I really wanted to play a role-playing game / sort of MOBA style game that you could play in under 10 minutes. And as you know, playing a role-playing game takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I wanted to condense that down into something that's more manageable. I started on it just by myself. There was a lot of requests for online multiplayer. And so that was something that I started doing, and then that became too much, so I took on someone else. And little did I realize how much work it is to turn a game into an online game once you've already started.
Right.
It's pretty much a big no-no of dev, but I did it, and I can say don't ever do that.
Yes. Stay in the circle! Stay in the circle! Look at the circle, Goose!
The idea was to have as many random elements going on in the game as possible, so that every time you played it, it's a new experience. There's always something, new happening. Helps with picking a team as well, because you got to pick a team that's good at all aspects of the game.
Right.
So, yeah.
There were some pretty crazy characters we saw, which is, I like the cat. I played the cat. I have to go with Meow. Meow! That was pretty good. Which is your favorite?
Albert the Unicorn, I think, is probably my favorite character so far.
Yeah? How come?
Yeah. Just an interesting character. I mean, he's not a combat character, so he's not so good at fighting, but he's really good at scoring. He's really fast, he teleports around and gets on other people's nerves, so I like that, I think.
I like characters like that too. They just annoy people and troll people. They're my favorite too.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider putting a robot in the game? I speak for my co-host Darren. Like, he would love something like that to be involved.
That is a good call.
Yeah.
There's no robots in there. I'm a big fan of robots as well, so I might have to listen to that advice.
All right, I'll put you in touch with his people and you guys can work it out.
Excellent. He can send me some schematics and whatnot.
Yeah, fantastic. If you could offer one piece of advice for any of our spawnlings who decide that they maybe want to make a game, what would be the first bit of advice you would give them?
Start small. Start real small, because your dream game is not going to be your first game. Along the way, you're better off learning all these little techniques and then making those into games. So rather than just learning and just learning, you're going to have a whole stream of games that you've made while you were learning.
Get up there.
We lost again! We are truly outmatched.
Yes.
Small point.
What are you doing, man? Come on.
Okay, time to get to our answering. And first up, we have this one from Adelaide Nater, who is in Adelaide, South Australia. That means we could be Sydney Nater.
Yes, or if you live in the Ongoro Crater, Ongoro Craternator. Hello, Bajo and Red. I would like to ask a few questions about the Swintendo niche. Oh, I mean the Nintendo Switch. 1. Will you be able to play Wii U games on the Nintendo Switch? 2. Is it worth trading in my Wii U to get the Nintendo Switch for a cheaper price? 3. Do you think the Nintendo Switch is more technologically advanced than Darren? Thanks for putting me on TV. Adelaide Nater out. P.S. Bajo, do these. PPS, Rand, do these.
Ah!
PPPS, Goose, do these. Oh, I'll just get him on the phone. Well, Adelaide Nator, firstly, no, you won't be able to play Wii U games on the Switch. The Switch uses little cartridges for its games and doesn't have a disc drive at all, so it isn't physically possible for it to use Wii U games.
Oh, well, where there is a will, there is a way. In theory, they could let you download Wii U games, but they haven't announced any plans to do that yet. But it could happen.
The closest you're going to get is by playing ports and special versions they're making for the Switch, like the new Zelda or Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
As for if it's worth trading in your Wii U, well, I'd personally say it's usually quite smart to trade in an old console for a discount on a new one, but having said that, it might be worth waiting a while. For now, there's literally only a handful of games available for the Switch, so you'd be trading in a console that has lots of games for a new one that has barely any.
Yeah, I'd say it's a smart idea to wait until maybe the end of the year before trading in your old console, once the new Mario and Splatoon and a bunch more games have come out for the Switch. And it is worth saying that the new Zelda is on Switch as well as Wii U, so there's no reason to upgrade to a Switch yet if that's just the one you want to play.
Yeah, and I don't think I would say the Switch is more advanced than Darren. I mean, he's a sentient robot. Now let's move on to this from the Queen of Bacon, who is in Murrayfield, Queensland.
This is a weird question. Is there a Super Mario Maker 2 coming out in either this year or next year? If you do not answer this question, then my pigs will come and turn you into bacon. P.S. Hex, do this! Hex isn't here. P.P.S. Banjo, do this! Ka-ching!
Well, Your Bacony Highness. That's not such a weird question, but is there a new Super Mario Maker coming out? The answer is sadly no. Well, not at least that we know of.
Yes, Nintendo hasn't announced a Mario Maker 2 at this point, so as far as we know, there isn't one coming anytime soon.
Having said that though, I think the first one did quite well and was a great game, so I imagine they'd want to make a version for the Switch. So I'd say there's a solid 80% chance there'll be a new one at some point, but probably only a 30% chance that it will come out this year. Maybe 50-50 chance that we'll see it next year though?
Yeah, there's probably only a 10% chance of that. What's going on? What's that sound?
Answer the rumour phone!
Is this the rumour phone? What is this?
Can't see.
Hello? Hello?
Hello again, Bajo.
Darren, what's this rumour phone thing? How long has this been here?
Oh, it's always been there. I couldn't help but hear you two talking about a potential sequel to Mario Maker, and I wanted to share a juicy rumour.
Oh, I love juicy rumors. What's the goss, Darren?
Oh, well, Nintendo recently revealed an early prototype they used to create Breath of the Wild, which looks very much like one of the early Zelda games. And Mario Maker, in fact, started as a similar prototyping tool for developers within Nintendo to test ideas. So, rumour has it there may be a Zelda Maker coming at some point. Nintendo has denied they're working on it, but of course they would.
Of course. Do you have any sources to back up this rumour, Darren?
Negative. It is pure speculation at this point.
Well, thanks for that, Darren. Thanks for the juicy goss, but I think we'll take that rumour with a whole heap of salt. Anyway, we're out of time for this week, but if you'd like a chance for us to read out one of your questions, then you can send it in here.
Hey, Darren, that light was kind of funky. Do it again. Do it again.
Oh, yeah. Disco rumour time.
Pump some music, Darren.
Rumour disco, rumour disco!
Got a rumour in the house. Don't know what it's about. Gonna find out all the facts. And then we're twist and shout. Twist and shout the rumour.
Disco in every room of the house.
Or on the floor!
My eyes hurt.
Yeah.
They're supposed to! It's a disco!
Now guys, we've never actually reviewed an M-rated game here on Spawn Point before, so this is a heads up to grown-ups that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has been recommended for ages 15 and up for moderate fantasy violence.
Yes, however, we know that the Zelda series is much beloved by all ages, and after spending 40 hours with this game, we do believe it is a family-friendly experience.
And we do know that Spawnlings are super keen to hear about it.
Yes, so with all that out of the way, Goose, where do we even begin?
Why, Bajo, with adventure.
But we've waited an eternity for this new Zelda adventure, and now that we've played it, I can happily say it is well worth the wait. This game is massive.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it? Once again, the adventure takes place in the Kingdom of Hyrule. However, while previous games in the series have been about following a particular set path or linear storyline, Breath of the Wild instead embraces a fully open world that lets you explore anywhere and everywhere. But before that, we should start with the story.
Ah, good idea, Goose. As the game begins, we find our hero Link has awoken after a 100-year snooze in a weird kind of day spa, with no gear, no clothes, and no memory of his past. The old amnesia lost memory trick. But at least you can now speak to characters you meet along the way, such as the mysterious old man you first encounter.
Eventually, he reveals the truth behind your strange slumber and the story of the evil Calamity Ganon, who used an army of ancient machines to defeat the people of Hyrule. However, at the last minute, he was ensnared within the castle by Princess Zelda, who has remained trapped there, awaiting Link's return.
You are our final hope.
But before you can venture to the ends of the world, you must first find your way off the Great Plateau. It's a smaller slice of the open world, and it's designed for you to get to grips with Link's controls and abilities. It's kind of like a tutorial level, but it's huge.
As Link explores the plateau, he activates an ancient technology, sending beacon towers rising and reactivating dormant shrines across the land. Climbing these towers expands your map, while completing the shrines earns you spirit orbs, as well as Link's new abilities in the form of runes.
I loved the look and sound of all this ancient technology. You really feel like it has come from some all-powerful ancient race, the way it glows and pulses throughout structures and artifacts.
The game's shrines are small puzzle rooms that often require you to use multiple abilities to complete. It breaks up the puzzle element of the game into smaller, bite-sized chunks, instead of the hard slog of a full dungeon.
Yes, and unlike previous adventures, a lot of Link's abilities are available early on, giving you the tools you'll need to defeat enemies and solve puzzles straight away. These include moving metal with a powerful magnet, freezing water into ice blocks, even pausing time in specific objects. These runes are all controlled using the power of the Sheikah Slate, a mysterious device Link obtains when he wakes up.
Then, once you've gained the much-needed paraglider from the mysterious stranger, you're free to leap off into the world in any direction and explore to your heart's content.
Oh, it's such a great way to start the adventure, isn't it? Looking off into the distance, picking a point, and knowing you can head there straight away is such an exciting feeling of freedom. Do you venture off to the nearest town to meet the locals? Maybe you could try climbing that daunting volcano in the north. Or simply glide down into the sandy canyons to the south. The choice is yours.
I was a bit overwhelmed to begin with. In fact, I instantly got lost in a forest.
Yes, and everyone's adventure will probably start out a little different. I started out by heading to the tallest peak I could find, which in hindsight might not have been the best idea. Link can now climb on almost every surface in the world, giving you the freedom to traverse even the most undulating of terrain. However, doing so uses up Link's stamina, a feature we first saw introduced in Skyward Sword.
Affirmative. Running, swimming, gliding, and climbing will all consume precious stamina, so it's important to keep an eye on it, as running out can be extremely dangerous.
It is great to see such a focus on Link's movement, because you will spend a lot of time just running about, exploring the wilderness, and soaking in the stunning views. It's very pretty. But while it may be beautiful to look at, the wild is also a very dangerous place. In fact, guys, I would say this might just be the toughest Zelda game out there.
Oh, totally, Bajo. You can easily become overwhelmed by extreme weather, or you may encounter enemies too tough to defeat. These classic Zelda foes will put up a real fight, calling for help, surrounding you, even riding on horseback.
And you know, Goose, I think potentially it's this combat that gave this game its M rating.
Which I find a bit strange because I feel like I've seen more intense action in other PG games.
To add to the challenge of the combat, Link's weapons can now break, meaning you'll constantly be replacing and upgrading them along your journey.
And guys, I wasn't sure I'd like this straight away. The weapons don't seem to last very long and they always break at the worst possible times. But the more I played, I realised it does force you to improvise. You could, for instance, sneak around a camp of sleeping bokoblins and pick them off with a bow. Or if you're feeling bold, why not surf a shield straight into camp before leaping off and firing your bow in slow motion?
The second option, please. Radical! In fact, I found the best moments in this game revolved around experimentation. When you think, I wonder if this will work. And then it does. It's such brilliant emergent game design.
Totally. And I think we'll be coming up with more creative and interesting solutions to problems well after we finish the story.
There is certainly a lot to keep you busy out in the world. However, if you're determined to reach the castle and save Zelda, you'll have to journey to each corner of the map and free the 4 divine beasts. Giant destructive machines that now roam the land!
Yes, and these do feel more like the traditional dungeons from previous games.
Oh, they're great.
All right, easy.
They each have a set of tricky puzzles to complete before facing off with a classic boss fight that grants you an extra heart and a useful power to defeat Ganon.
And just working out how to gain access to these giant beasts in the first place is a real thrill. But of course, you'll need to complete a couple of quests before you encounter them, often helping out interesting characters who all have an important part to play in the greater story. It's classic Zelda, and guys, I loved it.
I loved it too, Goose. In fact, I found it so hard to fault this game at all. There's so much to see and do in this world, and I found the longer I played, the more Breath of the Wild would surprise me. I just have to give this 5 out of 5 rubber chickens.
Bajo, I could not agree more. Nintendo have taken everything we've grown to love about the Zelda series, and they've just gone wild with it. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 rubber chickens as well.
Oh, double 5s! How will we celebrate, Goose?
You know what, Bajo? I got a real taste for nature playing this game, so why don't we take a break and get a breath of fresh air ourselves?
Sounds wild.
Watch out for bugs! Oh, it's time to give you the answer to my challenge! At the start of the show, I asked you to identify the game in this image. And the answer is... Minecraft Wii U Edition!
Yes, with the Super Mario mashup pack, it would appear.
Nice attempt at a curveball there, Darren.
Oh, my pleasure.
Next week on the show, you asked for it, we're reviewing Pokemon Duel.
Don't forget to catch Spawn Point Scoop on the ABC Me app this Monday. I'll be bringing you all the latest in gaming news, and then you can catch more videos from us on the app throughout the week.
Well, until next time, Bajo out.
Right out.
Goose out.
Darren out.
Guys, I've been meaning to ask, who was that mysterious noob master?
Yeah, he did have a very wise beard.
His den smelled like marshmallows.
I have a feeling we'll be seeing more of him.